Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the orientation webinar for committees, divisions, and section chairs of the Allegheny County Bar Association and Allegheny County Bar Foundation. We're delighted to have you join us as leaders within our organization. Your roles are vital in advancing our mission, supporting our members, and strengthening the legal community. This session is designed to provide the guidance, resources, and best practices you need for a successful term. We'll cover key responsibilities, strategic planning, effective communications, and ways to foster engagement within your respective groups. Thank you for your commitment and leadership. We look forward to working together with you, achieving excellence, and making a meaningful impact this year. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dan Fitzsimmons, who serves as the Allegheny County Bar President.
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Fitzsimmons, and as Tom said, I'm the president of the ACBA. Thank all of you for taking the time this afternoon to attend this webinar. We're trying something a little different this year, as you obviously must have noticed. Instead of having a in-person meeting, we're hosting this webinar, and hopefully this is a more efficient way of delivering information to you as the chairs and vice chairs. You have been selected as a chair or vice chair to lead your group during meetings and other activities. And the service that you provide to the Bar Association is essential. We could not function as an organization without committees, divisions, and sections, and people to lead those sections. It's an important duty that you have assumed, and we welcome you into the family of the Allegheny County Bar Association. Now to the presentations. Back to Tom.
Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate it. Next, we're going to have a recorded message from the president of the Allegheny County Bar Foundation, Brian Neft. Unfortunately, he's representing our interests at a conference regarding foundations, but he was able to record a brief message for us. So we'll be sharing that video right now.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Neft, and I'm president of the Allegheny County Bar Foundation. I want to thank you for being here today for committee and section orientation, and I want to tell you a little bit about what our foundation does every year. We have three primary components to our programs. One is pro bono services, one is supporting our profession, and the last being community service, where we support our greater Allegheny County community. Our pro bono services are provided primarily by the Pro Bono Center, which provides legal services to over 1,000 individuals every year, where they can't necessarily get those services from other legal aid service agencies across Allegheny County. We also have a captive law firm known as the Juvenile Court Project, which provides much needed services for parents who are facing the termination of their rights as parents. We support the foundation or support the profession in many ways, including through our Fellows Give program, which provides grants to various legal aid agencies across Allegheny County. We have educational programming for members of our bar. We provide scholarships and loans for law students, and we provide financial assistance to lawyers in need through our Lawyers Fund. And finally, our community service is provided through our Attorneys Against Hunger program, which provides much needed funds for hunger relief agencies across Allegheny County. We also have our annual golf and bocce tournament, which provides funding for both our own foundation as well as for neighborhood legal services. And we also have many different other public service projects throughout the year. Our foundation is a 501c3 through the Internal Revenue Service, and is the charitable arm of the Allegheny County Bar Association. We have a board of trustees that provides the management and oversight of the foundation, and we have an administrative staff of 4 full-time individuals that handle all of our programming on a day-to-day basis. And they include our associate executive director, Lori Albert, Barb Griffin, who is director of the Pro Bono Center, Stephanie Selya, who handles programs and project manager, and Maya Thomas Meyer, who is our development assistant. They do a wonderful job of making sure that all of our programs work and work efficiently across the year. And if you need any more information about our programs, you can contact any of them, or you can contact me. That's it. I'm sure you'll hear more about all of our programs throughout this meeting, but I thank you for listening and thank you again for being here.
I want to thank Brian, even though he wasn't able to attend today, for sharing that information with us. So I serve as your executive director. If you ever have questions or concerns, you're definitely welcome and encouraged to contact me directly. For an overview of the Allegheny County Bar Association, the foundation is a 503 nonprofit private charitable foundation. The mission statement is to be a driving force in promoting justice for all and improving the community through public service, law-related programs as the charitable arm of the Allegheny County Bar Association, and to fulfill the mission. And the foundation raises, manages, and distributes funds and encourages and assists lawyers to provide pro bono legal services and develop support and public information initiatives. As for the Bar Association, we're a 501c6. Our mission statement is to empower our members and promote a just, accessible, and inclusive judicial system and serve the community as large. We also have value statements. We share this information with you for both the Bar Association and the foundation, as our work should tie into our mission and value statements. So our playbook, we have a couple different levels. We have the bylaws, which are the ACBA bylaws, the ACBF bylaws. Those copies will be distributed, plus this PowerPoint and additional resources following the webinar. We also have standard operating procedures, like the handbook for committee, division, and section chairs. We're working to revise that, but that will be given out to every chair, vice chair, and executive groups of your different committees, divisions, and sections. We also have the brand book, and some of our staff will talk about those in advance. Also, some of the sections, some of the committees, even the divisions may have their own bylaws that we operate by. If you ever have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can contact your staff liaison or me. At this time, I'd like to introduce Marianne Forelli, who's the Director of Membership, CLE, and Events, to share a little bit of information that will be useful in the upcoming term with you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here with us today. Whether you are serving as a new chair or a co-chair or returning to your leadership role, we're very grateful for your willingness to volunteer your time, your talents, and your expertise in supporting the bar and its members. Today's meeting, as Tom and Dan have reiterated, is we're trying to set everyone up for a very successful year. So we're going to review some policies and procedures that guide the operations and highlight some of the resources available to support you. Tom and Dan mentioned that if it wasn't for all of you, we couldn't do what we do. You are all ambassadors in your role for the ACBA, and your leadership is very, very essential to the success of the ACB committee sections and divisions. Your efforts deliver the meaningful education that we promote, to foster these connections, support the legal community, and advance the organization's mission. So whenever the opportunities arise, and I know that this happens often, speak to your colleagues and your prospective members and people in your legal community about the ACBA and all the benefits and programs and resources that we do provide, because your voice helps the people understand why membership matters. You all know, most of you know who I am. I am your membership director along with CLE and events, but I also am aided by Barb Rumbaugh, who is our membership coordinator. I think you all know Barb. She's a wonderful individual, and she helps in our membership and all of our membership related issues. We are going next. We are going to talk a little bit now about our CLE program and the planning process, some timelines, and some best practices for developing the quality educational programs that we promote. First, we're going to talk a little bit about the CLE requirements. I don't know if everyone knows this, but all of our divisions are required to host 4 CLEs in a bar year. After that, anything over and above the 4, there is a 50% revenue split. The same thing applies to our sections, but they are offered a 30% revenue split. And then our committees are required to host 1 CLE, and there's no revenue split on that. As far as our CLE credit standards, the courses, of course, have to be intellectual and have to contain practical content. It supports obviously the competence, the skills, ethics, and professional obligation. The dates are assigned as a first come, first served. I think you all are aware of that. We have a very, very heavy CLE schedule, and they need to be fully developed before your submission. And the reason that we do that is because we need to go through our PACLE board to get approval before we can move through registration. I know a lot of folks know and are very familiar with this routine, but there are folks, of course, that are new and do not. But Holly Bedford, who is our CLE program manager, she is our superstar when it comes to CLEs, and she can answer most all of your questions. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to her. We are here to avoid any conflicts and to secure everyone's preferred date. Sometimes, we can't do that, but we do find a date. And that is why we are so adamant about our 60-day deadline, because that gives us the time to give you what you want, and is also time for you to get the materials that you need and line up your speakers and sponsors and what have you. We have some dates on the side here that we'd like to let everyone know about. August the 28th and December the 15th, but we do these 3 times a year. They are our live video replay days where it's right before compliance periods. So that those credits that need to be taken before your compliance date arrives, this gives you the opportunity to do that. The next one is coming up at the end of this month. It is downstairs in the Coppers building, lower level. Any questions, you could reach out to myself or Holly, and we can help you get registered, but you can register right online from the ACBA website. The 18th of September, we have our Capital Criminal Law Symposium, which is also being held here. October the 19th, we are presenting our SORG form. We do these twice a year, and these are a free ethic credit for all ACBA members. On November 18th at the Westin Hotel, our labor and employment section has their annual symposium. Along with December the 4th, our bankruptcy section is also hosting their symposium at the Westin also. Our criminal law section, they host their symposium on March the 26th of 2027. And I'm sure all of you know and been through Bridge the Gap. We host this spring, summer, and fall via Zoom. This is required by our PACLE board. When we do get a lot of folks that join us from all over the state and out of the state. So our next one is probably going to be coming up in November, but we'll keep an eye out for those dates. Next. As I said before, there is a 60-day timeline, and we do that for many, many reasons. And the earlier that you can get us your information, the easier it is for us to build this program and get and make sure that it gets to marketing and become as successful as it possibly can. We have posted here a copy of our CLE proposal form, which can be found on our website. As you can see, it's a pretty intense form, but once this is filled out properly and sent to Holly, this is what we need, and we will move forward with booking your program. And again, if there's any questions at all about this form or any questions about the procedures, please just let us know. We'll be happy to help. Next. This is the second half of the program form. But as you can see, there's information here about our marketing and how that works. Also about your panelists and your presenters. Our diverse panel policy is listed on here. Information about your speakers and what is needed. So it's very, very comprehensive. It might look a little overwhelming to some if you've never done this before, but trust us, it's not. It's going to make your life easier in the very end. Next. And then this is our event planning form. This is for all of the non-CLE events, receptions, celebrations, happy hours, committee section division programming. This form is what starts everything here. This is the form, and we know a lot of folks have heard this before, and we are trying to make sure that this is part of your everyday when it comes to ACBA. This form gives us all of the information that we need to make your event successful, whether it's for the location that you want, whether it's the date that you want. This is what starts moving everything into action. Because once we receive this, we do what we do on our end. Brian Navish, our director of marketing, and his team, and Jen Pulis, director of communications, and her team, they all work from this event form. And this is what gets us to our end result. So it does say submit at least 60 days, but we can do 45. So anywhere between 45 and 60 days is the best time to get this event form to us. As I said, this can be found on our website also, and must put as much information on there as you possibly can. If you don't have all of the information, if something we can find for you, please let us know. We will help you find that information. But this is one of the most important pieces of paper, along with our CLE proposal form, that's going to help all of our programs be successful and give all of our committee section divisions what they need. Next. And again, these are some of the questions that are going to be asked of you, a lot of sponsor questions, some logistics that we need information on, but this is everything that you will need to send to us for your program. Next. I think that is everything. Again, I thank you all for taking the time to be with us, and your leadership and your willingness to serve is something that we all look forward to, and we're very excited about the bar year to come, and hope to see you in person very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. At this time, I'd like to introduce Michael Diana, who serves as our Director of Finance.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. The first thing we're going to take a look at are the three different formats of our financial statements. Typically, these statements will go out once a month to the chairs as well as the treasurers, whether it's Andy Thomas, my accounting manager, or whether it's Paige Tourette, my senior accountant. You'll receive your information from them once a month. And we've highlighted and picked out one format from each of the three that you see below. The committees are on the left, and the committees are very, very simple. And they typically have, a couple hundred, maybe $1,000 approved for spending through our budget process. And there's not necessarily a ton of detail needed for the committees. If you are a chair or a treasurer of committee, typically you get one line item for revenue and one line item for expense. You also get, which is the more important part here, 6 different columns of information, whether it's your current month spending, your year-to-date actual spend, the prior year-to-date spend. It also gives you an idea of your budget that you're being held to, as well as any remaining funds that you have available. And finally, the last column gives you a percentage of budget if you work better with percentages than you do actual dollars. The divisions, we have a couple divisions here at the Bar Association. They have a little bit more detail to them. They have 3 or 4 line items that help them identify their revenue sources a little bit better. And they typically have, 4 or 5 line items for the expenses. Once again, you get the same 6 columns of information that you do on the committees. And the final one is a little bit different. These are the section financials, and they kind of have even more detail because they're responsible for their own finances. Obviously, it's paid through their dues. And so you'll see a dues revenue line item on all of them, programs and projects that they've run, as well as if they have any sponsorships during the year. And their money does earn interest. So those are typically the 4 revenue sources that you'll see on any one of the sections. And then you have the expenses, the administrative fees that are paid to produce this information and run programs, as well as donations that are made during the year. And probably the most important part about that is if you're going to make a donation, we ask you to document it in your minutes. That's a very important request because at audit time, which we happen to be in the middle of right now, we get asked for that information so that there's appropriate backup. Typically, the sections, a lot of them meet every month and have some kind of food and beverage bill. There's a miscellaneous line item to catch just about anything that's not caught elsewhere, and a program and project line on the expense side. The most important part is at the bottom where it says cash equivalent balance. That's basically telling you how much money you have and what you generated in the current month versus your year-to-date actual. And once again, you do get a prior fiscal year comparison. What you don't have on a section statement that you do have on a committee in a division are extra columns regarding budgets, as the sections are not responsible for providing a budget. Next. Once again, a lot of the same things that we talked about, speed reading a financial statement. We've got as many as 6 different columns. We've got actuals for you. We've got budgeted columns for you, and remaining funds in dollars and percentages. We've talked a lot about those columns. If you skip to the bottom, you'll see what to look for. Any revenue that hasn't come in yet. If you've had an event and somebody wanted to sponsor your event, but they haven't provided the check or the funds yet, we're an accrual basis entity. If you do have anything outstanding, whether it's bills incurred or whether it's sponsorships not received, We want to reflect that as soon as possible. We do not want to wait until bills are paid or checks are submitted to give you the most up-to-date, accurate financial statement. The second point underneath that is expenses running ahead of budget. Please be aware that every committee, every division does have a budget. And it's important to finish the year within your budget. If you have any questions about that at any point during the year, if you need more detail about how an event went off and the performance, we can certainly provide that to you. The third point is negative net activity or unexpected variances. The last point is anything unbudgeted that may need finance committee review. If you want to make a donation that wasn't necessarily part of your budget to begin with, maybe somebody has reached out to you and you're well within your budget to begin with, that's one thing. If it's something that you want to add on after your budget is approved, those items need to get submitted and approved before the Finance Committee, which meets once a month. Next. Finance process reminders. Use these financial statements as a tool before you commit to spend or any new activity. Anything that's unbudgeted, flag new spending ideas early before any commitments are made. Be clear about the purpose, the timing of these events, estimated cost, and what kind of budget you have left to spend. If the funding was not approved in the budget, it may need Finance Committee attention. We've talked to that and spoke to that a couple times now. If you need reimbursed for something, if you're putting something on a credit card and it's on behalf of one of your committee sections or divisions, please keep those receipts as well as any documentation. Those will need to be turned in for us to reimburse you. Make sure the expense connects back to an approved event, meeting, or initiative. It never hurts to put a little description on your receipt if it's not obvious what it's for, and to submit requests promptly and consistently with ACBA procedures. This is also an important one that you need to at least preferably within 2 weeks to 30 days after an event to submit your reimbursements. Otherwise, if you hold on to them, we don't know about them. And, if they get turned in 6 months later, at that point, somebody may have a question as to what that expense was for and why it wasn't turned in earlier. The last big comment that we touched upon earlier, meeting minutes. Please document your decisions that create any kind of financial obligations, especially donations. That's critical. Capture approval language clearly when a group votes on spending. And minutes help staff confirm authority and process reimbursement or payment requests. The bottom line at the bottom of the slide says, please consult finance before the group promises money, signs off on spending, or assumes funds are available. We welcome hearing from you, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an email. If you have any questions, we'll take them as early as possible. And I think that helps everybody out as opposed to having questions after the fact. Next. Okay.
Thank you, Michael. Also, I'd like to add, if you ever have questions about your financial statement, or if your treasurers ever have, because some of you do have treasurers, have questions, please feel to reach out to Michael or his team. We will definitely work to go through those statements with you and explain everything that we can and answer any of your questions. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Chance Weidman, who is our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, to talk a little bit about our diversity options that are available to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to keep my section pretty practical and focused on two things today. So I'm going to be looking at why DEI matters to the work that you're leading specifically, and then how I can support you during that work as your chair year. So the easiest way for me to describe my role is that I help volunteer leaders take good ideas and turn them into organized, inclusive, and visible ACBA work. I often serve as a bridge between your group's priorities, other ACBA groups, our staff processes, and the overall member experience. That can mean helping with annual planning, developing a program or CLE, identifying potential partners, communications, or navigating things like budgets, approvals, bylaws, and standard operating procedures. You still own the vision of your programming. I'm just trying to help you direct it and making sure that it is inclusive and following all of our bylaws and guidelines here at the ACBA. Next slide, please. So I do want to take a moment and talk about why DEI matters, because it applies to every committee, section, and division here, not just our affinity groups. From a legal profession, diversity can impact access, trust, and representation. The people coming through our legal system and the communities our attorneys serve are not all coming from the same backgrounds and experiences. A profession that understands this is better positioned to serve the community. It also matters within the bar itself. Think about who gets invited into the room, who is asked to speak on a panel, whose perspectives are included when decisions are made, and who can actually see themselves becoming the next chair, council member, or bar leader. That is where DEI becomes very practical and is something useful to everyone here on this call. For us, inclusive leadership means widening participation, making stronger decisions, because we have different perspectives at the table, and building leadership pipelines that keep the ACBA relevant and connected to the professions that you all serve. Next slide. So a lot of the work that I do does happen with the groups that you see here, mainly our affinity groups. So I work directly with all of our affinity-based groups that you see on the screen here, but I also serve to oversee our Pathways to Leadership program and our Summer Clerkship program. So those are my three main buckets, but I'm always available and have access to help anyone with any section, division, or committee, any programming that you may have going on. The biggest thing to remember is that for your group, if you're planning something, to think ahead. There may be another committee, division, or section that should be a part of this. I'm one of the main people that can help make those connections and make sure that we're finding those intersectionalities when it comes to our division, sections, and committees. So the biggest thing that I would ask is that you loop me in early. Like I said, I can help you plan, build, promote, and close those loops so you're not following back up and having to go through multiple channels. I can kind of be that one-stop shop to help you get things done. It's much easier for me and our staff generally to help while something is still in an idea state, as opposed to when you already have a lot of that planning done. So please come to us and help us with those dates, speakers, partners, and really trying to make sure that everything is inclusive as possible. Next slide.
Thanks, Chance. It looks like that was the end for your slides. Appreciate you sharing your feedback.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome. So the next person I'd like to introduce is Brian Knavish. He is the Director of Marketing, Media Relations, and Strategic Partnerships. Unfortunately, Brian was unable to attend today's event, but was able to record his information for you. So we'll go to Brian right now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Knavish, the Director of Marketing, Media Relations, and Strategic Partnerships at the ACBA. I know many of you. I've been here 11 years and looking forward to working with all of you in the bar year ahead. I'm going to talk about sponsorships today, and The full ACBA sponsorship policy is at www.acba.org/sponsorships. But I would say there's two key rules to remember. Rule number one is to rope me in before any sponsorship asks are made. And rule number two is to rope me in before any sponsorship asks are made. And I say that jokingly, but that is extremely important. We have a pretty robust, sophisticated sponsorship program here. It's one that's been nationally recognized. And because of that, there are a lot of moving parts to it. And the reason that you need to rope me in before asks are made, there's kind of two main reasons. One is to make sure we're being consistent in what we're charging and what we're delivering for our sponsorship across the ACBA. And there's an example that I have given many times. Some of you may have heard it, but I think it really articulates this point. And that's my first holiday party season after I was here at the ACBA. One section went to, let's call it Court Reporting Company A, and charged $1,500 for a sponsorship. And another section went to Court Reporting Company B and charged $3,500 for a sponsorship. And they were essentially the same event, 80-ish attorneys, CLE followed by a reception, logo, registration list, things like that. And we were charging vastly different prices. And Court Reporting Company B found out and asked, why are we paying more than double what my competitor is paying for the same thing? And we were best like, no, we didn't really have an answer for that. So we want to, we lost that relationship. We don't want to lose others. We just want to be fair and honest and consistent with what we're charging. The other reason is kind of more relevant for vendors and law firms, and that's that there's a lot of nuance to a lot of these relationships. We have exclusives, for example, insurance. USI is our insurance partner, and that's the only insurance company we can do business with. So if you innocently asked your State Farm agent to sponsor your event for $500, you're not realizing that you're violating a six-figure deal with USI. We have vendors that get right of first refusal in certain industries like e-discovery. We have what I call the business partner concept. And the example I give here is that wealth management firms, every wealth management firm in Pittsburgh would want to sponsor an event, say for estate planning attorneys. But we can't just pick a random wealth management firm because he's my buddy or someone else's buddy. When we have partnerships and there's people spending pretty big money to be an ACBA partner, we're going to give them that right of first refusal on those very in-demand events like that. So those are two very key reasons. We want to be consistent, and there's a lot of relationship nuance going on. Another point I wanted to make is that sponsorship revenue is not a direct offset of event costs. And I mean, usually if you do the math, it works out in your favor, but we sell sponsorships. So you're selling a logo and branding and comp admissions and a registration list, but it's not a direct offset to a cost. Like someone's not just picking up the catering bill. So if an event has, 25 people and 2 drink tickets, and that's going to be worth about $1,500, whether your catering bill is $1,100 or $2,000. We're not giving money back to the sponsor. We're not, charging them more if the catering bill is more than we expected. We price it based on the attendance and the deliverables, that logo on the marketing and things like that. And so that's just an important concept to remember. I always give the example too, if your event, a very small event, but you have Japanese Wagyu beef that's like a couple $100s a pound, and you have this $3,000 catering bill, and there's 6 people at your event, it's not worth $3,000 because your catering bill is higher. We price it based on that exposure, the audience, and things like that. Certain events, we have price tiers, gold, platinum, silver, not as common. Usually for a committee, division, or section level event, we have one title sponsor. But these are all kind of the moving parts and the reasons to rope me in sooner rather than later when you're planning an event and you want to have a sponsorship. So I can be reached at bcanabish@acba.org, or my phone number is on the ACBA website, and I look forward to working with you all during this bar year. Thank you much.
Thanks, Brian. We're now going to go over to Jennifer Poulos, who serves as our Director of Communications and Publications.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I just wanted to take a few minutes to explain how the ACBA communications and marketing teams can help promote your Bar Association events over the next year. As you guys know, the ACBA organizes hundreds of events each year, but because of that volume, it's important that we take a strategic and a coordinated approach to our marketing. Next slide, please. Really, the first and only step in having your event or CLE marketed is to submit the event planning form, which is located on the ACBA website. And these are the two forms that Marianne was talking about. The first form that you'll need to submit is the CLE programming form, which should be submitted about 60 days in advance. And the second form is the non-CLE event form, which we request to be submitted 45 days in advance, preferably 60 days if you have the time. We do use the information provided on that event form to develop your publicity plan. So we ask that you make sure that the form is complete before you submit it to us. And a really good example of that is if you're planning an event and you're giving an award at the event, you want to make sure that the awardee's history, name, biography is available and on that form when you submit it to us, because that's what we're using to actually plan your event. Next slide, please. Once you submit your form, we review it and develop a customized marketing plan for each event. Depending on your event, the plan could include an event marketing webpage, a customized marketing graphic, a social media schedule, a listing in the weekly CLE blast and the Lawyer's Journal CLE section, promotion in the ACBA sidebar, promotion through ACBA division level communications, a feature story in the Lawyer's Journal, event photography, and its own email marketing campaign. Next slide, please. And just one final note from me today. A few years ago, the ACBA Board of Governors adopted a brand book to ensure that all ACBA communications have a consistent and professional look and feel. As part of those brand standards, members may not independently design, create, or distribute your own marketing materials for your events. Instead, we ask that you please work with the ACBA communications and marketing departments, which will develop everything for you that you need. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to working with you over the next year.
Thank you, Jen. At this time, we're going to shift gears and talk a little bit about the Allegheny County Bar Foundation. To do that, I'd like to introduce our director of the Pro Bono Center, Barb Griffin.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Our Associate Executive Director, Lori Albert, could not be here today. She is at the conference with Brian Neff, the Bar Foundation president, learning about ways to support and improve our foundation. So what I'd like to talk to you about, you've heard a little bit about the foundation. I wanted to tell you a little bit about ways that your committee, section, or division can engage with the foundation. And we have several ways. Next slide, please. So first, the Attorneys Against Hunger program raises funds to fight food insecurity. The campaign runs every year from November to about April. And last year, our most recent campaign raised over $140,000. So we're really grateful the way that the legal community turns out to support this program. Our sections and committees, we may come to speak to you, to ask the section or committee to make a donation and hear more about our campaign. And we're always been grateful for the tremendous support that we get from those groups. Every year, go back. The Young Lawyers Division has hosted a great fundraiser called Strikeout Hunger, which is a fun event with duck pin bowling. And that's a great time for you all to support it, to come out and support it through a really fun event. And then we have outreach events where we take volunteers into the hunger agencies that are grantee recipients. And you can work on a food distribution line, help organize a storeroom, or do other types of hands-on events with hunger agencies. So please think about reaching out to us about arranging a day of service for your committee, section, or division. So another way to engage, next slide, is with our annual golf, bocce, and now pickleball tournament. We added pickleball for the first time this past summer, just earlier this month. There are committees that help plan these tournaments. You can participate in the event by playing golf, bocce, or pickleball. You could put together a team for your committee, section, division, or your law firm. We also, every year for many years, have had an amazing raffle to play golf at the legendary Pebble Beach golf course. And that's a very popular raffle ticket, so you can participate by buying or selling raffle tickets. We also look for donations to our silent auction, which helps us raise money for this event. So the next slide, please. So another way that the foundation fulfills its mission is through named funds scholarships. And there are several ways that committee sections and divisions participate in those programs. The Bankruptcy Judges Memorial Fund is one. Environmental and Energy Law section is another. Young Lawyers Division has a scholarship to help new lawyers pay off student loans. The Real Property section, and there are also scholarships to attend bench bar. So you can spread the word about these scholarships, or you can participate in them as part of your section or division. Next slide, please. Another way to participate with foundation activities is through the Fellows Give program. You can become a fellow with a substantial financial contribution, and by doing that, you get a say as to where these funds are awarded. So every year we have a pitch event to select the grantees for the Fellows Give funds. And at that pitch event, you can learn about the various programs that are applying for funding. And you also might get ideas about how your committee section or division might be involved in some of these really worthwhile programs. So look for information on Fellows Gives. You can self-nominate, or you can nominate a deserving person that you know. Next slide. And you should also know about the Lawyers Fund, which makes confidential grants, loans, or other assistance for their attorneys and their families in Allegheny County. Any attorney practicing in Allegheny County is eligible. You don't have to be a member of the Bar Association in order to receive this assistance. So help us spread the word. I know people are out there in need, so let them know about this long-standing way that they can receive assistance. The Lawyers Fund also gives educational scholarships. There are committees that you could serve on. And the Lawyers Fund funds summer fellowships in public interest law organizations across the county that place law students into public interest firms. So there are ways to be involved in that. And then additionally, I don't know what the next slide is. Could you see the next slide? Oh, upcoming events. We're having our fall foundation reception on September 15th at Hotel Monaco. And at that event, we will honor our new Fellows Give participants, the winners of the Pro Bono Achievement Awards, and the Presidential Merit Awards. It's a great way to come out and celebrate the work of the foundation. The pitch event that I mentioned earlier will be on October 21st, and we'll begin working on another Zitron Forum that will happen in the spring of 2027. And just a few other ways to participate in the foundation. We often regularly have new board members, so you can apply for a position on the board of trustees for the foundation. You can serve on one of the ACBA committees, attend our events, and we would greatly appreciate your role in this charitable foundation of the bar. And next, I am going to switch hats and talk to you about Pro Bono. So the Pro Bono Center, I hope you've heard about it. This is our staff of 3 attorneys, Patricia Jones, myself, and Olivia Hilborn. We also typically have a part-time law student on staff to help us out with our work. So generally what we do, an overview of what we do in the next slide, we provide direct legal services. Our lawyers, through the lawyers on staff and through cases assigned to volunteers, are serving about 1,400 individual people a year that cannot possibly afford an attorney. We also create, manage, and support pro bono projects, recruit, train, support, and recognize volunteers, perform community outreach and education, and engage in access to justice initiatives, trying to make the playing field more level for people who can't afford an attorney. And a lot of the new opportunities, CLE trainings, recognition events, etc., are posted in the monthly Pro Bono e-newsletter, which usually goes out the second Wednesday of every month, sometimes the third Wednesday of every month. But the Pro Bono e-newsletter, don't just delete it. Look at it. It's the best way to get information about what's going on at the Pro Bono Center and opportunities to volunteer. I will ask a couple of things for you your committee section division, often I will come to you if there is a need in pro bono in a certain substantive area of law, whether it's family law or criminal law or others. You will see me often come to your substantive law committee and ask you for guidance, for your help, for volunteers, and things like that. And the other thing I would ask of you, next slide, is if you're thinking about doing a project or a program or a CLE presentation that involves pro bono or other provision of free legal services to people with low incomes or the organizations that serve us, please reach out to the Pro Bono Center. Among our staff, we have decades of experience working in pro bono. We work very closely with other legal aid providers in Allegheny County, including Neighborhood Legal Services. So we know the landscape of pro bono and legal services in Allegheny County, and we would love to help your project or program if you have an idea, partner with us or help your program be successful. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you for sharing that information with us. At this time, we are looking like we are right on track. We have about 9 minutes left in the webinar and wanted to open it up for questions you may have or matters that we may address.
Tom, there was a question submitted in the Q&A, somebody just asking if the PowerPoint will be shared with the attendees.
Yes, I can confirm that the PowerPoint will be converted into a PDF. We have some other attachments, the CLE form, the event form, some different resources that we provide that will be sent out to all the participants, whether they were able to attend in person today's webinar or if they come back later to watch the video recording. We did record today's session to hopefully share with those that could not attend the webinar. You know, we do greatly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to learn a little bit about what we can do, what our staff can do to support you in your role of leadership in the upcoming term. But those informations will be sent out to participants and those that could not attend, just as the recording will be made available. So I just saw in chat, President Fitzsimmons asked if Robert's Rules of Order applies to meetings. They do. There is a section in the bylaws. I would definitely stress, especially the chairs, to review the bylaws. They're available through our website. If you go to acba.org or acbf.org, there's a section for the bylaws that you are able to access them and download them. But yes, Robert's rules do apply.
Somebody submitted a question in the Q&A. I'd like to collaborate with other sections and committees on marketing some Zoom-based speaker programming that their committee is planning. What's the best way to handle this outreach?
So a couple things. One is we have a online or electronic directory, and in some cases you may know who you're looking for but not have their up-to-date contact information. You could always search via the online directory. You could reach out to your staff liaison that would then reach out to their staff liaison and the other chair. The other option is if you go to our website, there is a section under Member Center that is Committee Section and Divisions. Each group has a landing page. Each chair's information is listed there. It'll usually have their picture. It'll say that they're the chair, and there'll be a link that you can click. If you click that link and you're logged into your ACBA membership account, it will take you directly to their contact information, their email, their phone number, and their information that way. So if you don't want to go through staff, It's available there 24/7 that you can look that person up, reach out to them. I would ask that you do include your staff liaisons on those correspondence, just so they're looped in. Most of you don't have that issue. Most of you do a very good job of communicating with your staff liaisons and partnering with them, but that is accessible. The chairs do receive their committees and council information, contact information. We only provide that to the chairs. We ask that that information is not shared outside of the chair's use. But that is something that we do offer too. But definitely glad to see the different committees, sections, and divisions partnering with each other to bring content to our members.
Tom, somebody asked if you could add that collaboration information when you send out the PowerPoint.
Yes, we can also include instructions. I could bring up the screen right now and show you how to get there, but I think it would probably be best for the group and more efficient for time if we just create instructions to show you not only how to access the online directory, but also to access the information of the other section chairs. I do get a request, and I'm just going to bring up some items that we do see on a regular basis. We do get requests to provide email rosters, to provide contact information for other councils, other sections, other committees, other divisions, working groups within the organization. We do not provide that information in bulk, mostly because it's extremely sensitive, and we treat that information very sensitively. But we definitely are here to help connect different groups. And, again, if you have a specific question along those lines, definitely feel to reach out and contact me or your staff liaison. I would also extremely stress to you that it's not staff's policy, but it's the policy of the organization, what information we can share. And those policies are literally available to you in the committee section and division chair handbook. Like I said, that will also be included with the PowerPoint slides from today's webinar. But I definitely would strongly recommend taking a look there. Typically, when I get a question that's very difficult or stumping, I usually start with our bylaws and then go to the handbook and then to the brand book. Usually there's already a policy in place, and it's just making reference of said policy and explaining how we can help and assist. I don't know if there's any more questions, comments, but we definitely welcome your input. We definitely are excited about the upcoming term and how we can help you as leaders and support your groups as they move forward with the good work that they're doing. If there's no other questions or concerns or comments, I'd just like to say on behalf of our staff, our leadership team at the ACBA, the ACBF, that we definitely are appreciative of you. We definitely understand the time and labor that goes into serving in a leadership role position here, and we look forward to working with you and supporting you as we move forward. Looks like that's it. Thank you, everyone.